We were clearing bodies after the bombing when the scanner picked up a life sign. Then someone said the name Vexara and nobody moved. No one had to ask why. If the scanner was right, that meant only one thing. Vexara was still alive. Buried under that wreck, a human medical unit picked through the rubble. They weren't shock troops. They came after the bombs stopped falling, when the dead outnumbered the living, and the only job left was salvage. Find survivors, patch wounds, evacuate before the next strike. Nobody envied this duty. Fear was their constant companion. What kind of person walks toward chaos when everyone else runs? That night, fear had a name whispered across 3 armies, Vexara. Humans called her the Ghost Blade. Aliens knew her as the Untouched. Some refused to say her name at all, believing it summoned death. The stories stretched across star systems. They claimed she ripped through armored bulkheads with her bare hands, that she walked through plasma fire without slowing, that every enemy who faced her died before they could pull a trigger. How much of it was myth? The human soldiers on this field didn't care. They'd seen enough to know when Vexara's name came up, even the bravest looked away. Kael walked behind his squad leader, medkit strapped tight, scanner dangling from his belt. He was younger than the veterans, smaller, quieter, no heavy rifle, no combat armor, just steady hands and a healer's oath. But he'd seen enough battlefields to recognize wrongness. And this place felt like a held breath. Then one of the team froze, hand up. The captain, a grizzled woman named Dracos, stopped mid-step. Report? The soldier stared at his scanner, face draining of color. Life sign, strong, unknown species. Trapped under that downed cruiser. He pointed to a wreck half buried in ash, its hull ripped open like a tin can. Kael checked his device, one body, barely clinging to existence. Captain Draco studied the signal for 3 heartbeats, then swore under her breath. No, she said flatly. The team exchanged glances. They already knew. Only one alien on this planet would make a rescue squad hesitate over a dying body. Vexara. The name cut through the group like winter air. One soldier retreated. Another's rifle came up on instinct. A third whispered, "That's impossible, but scanners don't lie." The Untouchable was alive. For a long moment, no one breathed. Fire cracked in the distance. A damaged ship groaned and collapsed somewhere far away. Captain Draco spoke first. "We leave her." "Captain, she's still breathing," Kael said. "She's why half this field is ash. She's also bleeding out." Dracos turned on him. "She's not our patient. She's a weapon," nobody argued. Except Kael. He looked at his scanner again. The signal was fading fast. Beneath the twisted metal, he could make out a shape, a long arm, clawed fingers, cracked armor black with dried blood. Nearby lay a shattered blade snapped in 2. Whatever fight had happened here, it was worse than anyone imagined. "She's dying," Kael said. One soldier laughed nervously. "Might be the safest outcome for everyone." No one laughed with him. Kael moved closer, ducking under a broken beam. And there she was. Vexara lay pinned beneath a slab of hull, half covered in shadow and debris. Her armor was split along her ribs. One shoulder plate missing entirely. Dark fluid had pooled beneath her. Her face was partially hidden, but he saw enough. One eye closed, the other still. For the first time, she didn't look like a legend. She looked like someone losing a fight with death. "Medic, back away, now." Kael didn't move. He watched her chest, weak but rising, still falling, still alive, then a twitch. One finger curling into the dirt. Every soldier raised their weapon. "Back up!" Vexara's hands shifted under the debris, just slightly. Just enough to remind everyone that even dying, she was the most dangerous thing on this field. What sane person would step closer? Captain Dracos grabbed Kael's arm. "Don't be stupid!" Kael pulled loose, eyes locked on the wounded warrior. His scanner gave one low warning tone. Her vitals were crashing. If no one acted, she'd be gone in minutes. The others saw a monster. Kael saw the wound. The poison-blackened edges, the failing breath, the quiet terror behind that half-closed eye. For one heartbeat, the entire battlefield seemed to pause with him. Then Kael tightened his grip on the medkit, and while every other soldier stepped back from the deadliest alien in the sector, one human medic took a slow step toward her. The moment Kael moved forward, the air turned heavy. Captain Dracos shouted his name, sharp and desperate. He didn't stop. Rifles tracked him, fingers white on triggers. Every warning they'd ever received screamed in the smoke. Do not approach. Do not make eye contact. Do not let her wake. But she was already awake. Kael walked slowly, boots pressing into wet ash. Each step felt like crossing a frozen lake. He kept his hands open, palms out, no weapon, just a medic showing empty hands. His kit bounced against his hip. He focused only on the broken figure under the metal. When he reached the wreck, the temperature seemed to drop. A low sound came from beneath the twisted steel. Not a word, not a cry, a warning. Vexara's armor reacted instantly. Small red lights blinked along cracked plates. Seam shifted with soft clicks. Near her wrist, a curved blade slid out just enough to catch the firelight. Kael froze. One wrong move and he was dead. The soldiers behind him knew it. Even Vexara knew it. Her breathing was shallow, but her body remembered how to kill. He didn't retreat. Instead, he knelt, slow, deliberate. His eyes stayed on her face, not the blade. He didn't shout orders. He didn't bark commands. He spoke in the same quiet tone he used with terrified civilians and wounded soldiers alike. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to help. His voice cut through the smoke like a clean blade. Vexara's good eye opened fully. The look she gave him wasn't weak. It was sharp, confused, angry. No human had ever come this close. No enemy had ever spoken to her like she was a person instead of a target. Her jaw tightened. Her chest rose in short, broken breaths. She tried to shift the metal off her body. The wound in her side burned with every movement. A dark stain spread across her armor and the ground beneath her. Kael saw it clearly. The injury was deep. The edges were black, not from fire, but from a chemical round. Poison eating into her system, slow, silent. He unclipped his scanner and held it up. Blue light glowed in the darkness. He didn't reach for her. He let her see the tool, understand it, then he waited. Behind him, Captain Dracos' voice cut through. Kael, fall back. That's an order. Kael ignored her. He kept his eyes on Vexara. You're bleeding out. That round carried a nerve toxin. If I do nothing, you won't see morning. I can slow it, stop the bleeding. But I need you to let me. Why would a killer trust a healer? He didn't expect her to understand every word, but she understood the tone. The scanner. The choice. For a long moment, neither moved. Wind pushed ash across the ground. A dying engine sputtered and fell silent. Soldiers held their breath. Fingers stayed on triggers. Eyes locked on the alien's hand. Vexara stared at him. Her eye narrowed. Her breathing grew faster, then slower. The blade at her wrist trembled. It could strike in less than a second. Cut through flesh like paper. It didn't. Slowly, painfully, her fingers unclenched. The blade slid back into its housing with a soft click. Red lights dimmed along her armor. The fight didn't leave her body, but it changed. The warrior's gaze softened just enough. Exhaustion, acceptance, something close to trust. Kael exhaled. He hadn't realized he was holding his breath. He placed the scanner against her cracked armor. The device beeped once, then began reading. The numbers were terrible, but steady. She was still with him. He pulled a clean field cloth from his kit. His hands moved with quiet practice. No rushing, no panic. Just the work he'd trained for since his first day in uniform. Behind him, the rescue team stood in stunned silence. The blue light painted the inside of her armor. Kael watched the numbers climb, drop, climb again. He'd seen bad wounds before, burns, shrapnel, broken bones. This was different. The scanner showed poison weaving through her blood like black thread. A smart round, designed to break nerve clusters slowly, make the body fight itself. The toxin was already moving toward her heart. Human medicine could slow it, buy time. But it wasn't made for her species. Her blood ran thicker. Her cells reacted differently. A normal stabilizer might save a human. For her, it could stop her breathing in seconds. He had one gamble, a field patch. A nerve filter, a high-risk injector, not protocol, a guess. You're going to kill her faster, Draco said. Or trigger a defense beacon. We're pulling out. That's an order. Kael finally looked up, calm, but his eyes were hard. If I leave, she dies in pain. If I stay, she might live. I'm not asking permission. I'm asking for time to do my job. Dracos' jaw tightened. She wanted to drag him back. But she saw the way Vexara stayed fixed on Kael, not with rage. With something quiet, waiting, the alien shifted slightly. A low sound escaped her throat. Not pain, not anger, a question. Her voice was rough, broken by smoke and blood. Why? The word hung in the cold air, simple, heavy. Why was a human kneeling beside an enemy? Why risk death for someone who killed his own kind? Why show mercy when the galaxy ran on war? Kael met her gaze, no speech, no politics. Just the truth he'd carried since his first day in the field. Because you're hurt. That's all. No grand meaning, no hidden plan. Just a medic seeing a patient? Vexara's eye widened. In her world, weakness was shame, injury was failure. To be seen broken was to be discarded. No one stayed, no one asked why. They walked away or finished the job. But here, a human knelt in the dirt, bleeding hands covering hers. He didn't see a weapon. He saw a body that needed help, and something inside her shifted. Not trust, not yet. But doubt. Doubt in everything she'd been taught. Doubt in the commanders who'd sent her to die alone. She gave one slow nod. Barely visible, but enough. Kael turned back to his kit. He loaded a nerve stabilizer, checked the dose twice, 3 times. No going back. He placed the patch over her wound. It hissed as it sealed against her skin. Then he pressed the injector against her shoulder. This will hurt. Stay with me. The plunger went down. Medicine hid her blood. For 1 second, nothing. Then her body locked. A sharp gasp tore from her throat. Her back arched. Claws dug into dirt. The scanner screamed warnings. Red lights flashed across her armor. Her breathing stopped. Kael held his breath. His hand stayed steady on her shoulder. Come on, fight it. Then a cough, rough, weak, real. Her chest rose, fell, rose again. The scanner beeped steady, slower, safer, but relief didn't last. The ground trembled, not from wind. Not from fire, engines, many of them, closing fast. Kael looked up through the broken hull. Shapes moved against the red sky, not rescue. Not scavengers, killers, and they weren't here to check. They were here to finish the job, heavy, fast. 3 dark silhouettes cut through the smoke, low to the ground, no markings, just black armor and silent thrusters. Kill drones. Captain Dracos' voice cracked over the radio. All units, fall back. Enemy strike team incoming. Repeat, fall back now. The rescue team scrambled. Boots hit mud, gear clattered. They were leaving. Survival was the only rule left. Kael didn't move. He looked at Vexara. Her breathing was steadier, but her face was pale. The poison slowed, not gone. Her armor still leaked dark fluid. She tried to push herself up. Her arms shook. The injector had bought time, not strength. They're not here for the army, she said, voice low. They're here for me. Her eye held cold understanding. The round that hit her wasn't from the enemy. It was clean, precise. Someone wanted her erased, and now cleaners were coming to finish the job. Kael moved fast, grabbed his kit, pulled a thermal blanket. We're moving you now. Draco stopped at the edge of the wreck. Medic, you're crossing the line. Leave her. That's a direct order. I don't take orders from fear, Kael said, not looking up. I take orders from my oath. And my oath says I don't walk away from a patient. Draco stared at him for 3 seconds. Then she turned and ran. The rest followed. Within moments, transports lifted off. Engines roared. The sky emptied. They were alone. Kael slid his arms under Vexara's back and legs. She was heavier than she looked, dense muscle, thick bone. But he lifted her anyway. She hissed in pain but didn't fight. Instead, she wrapped one arm loosely around his shoulder, claws retracted. She let him carry her. They moved into the heart of the crashed ship, dark, broken, cold. Metal walls leaned inward. Wires hung like dead vines. The air smelled of burnt oil and old blood. He laid her against a support beam out of the open sky, checked the wound again. The patch held. The toxin was still moving, slower. He had maybe 20 minutes before it reached her core. Outside, the drones landed. Soft thuds, no footsteps. No voices, just the quiet hum of scanning beams sweeping the wreckage. Vexara's eye followed the sound. Scout models, fast, armed, They won't stop until they confirm death. Then we give them something else to look at. Kael pulled emergency smoke packs from his kit. Tossed two near the entrance. Thick gray fog rolled out. He set up a portable shield generator. It sparked to life, casting a faint blue dome over their corner. The first drone slipped through the smoke like a shadow, sleek, triangular. A single red eye glowed at its center. It moved silently, scanning left, then right. The beam passed over broken metal, over ash, over Kael's boots. It stopped. Red light locked onto them. Vexara's hand shot out for her blade. Her fingers found empty air. Her weapon was gone, buried under the collapsed hull outside. No armor plates left, no backup, no army. The drone's eye brightened. A low whine built in its core, weapons online. Kael didn't run, he stepped in front of her. Held nothing but a heavy medical scanner and a steel bone saw. His hands were shaking, but his stance was solid. He placed himself between the machine and the wounded warrior. What can one medic do against a kill drone? He didn't shout, didn't raise a weapon, just stood there. A human, a medic. A wall. The drone adjusted its aim. The whine grew louder. Red light painted Kael's chest. Vexara stared at his back. Her breath caught. No one had ever stood between her and death. Not for her, not out of choice. The drone's targeting system locked. A sharp beep cut through the smoke. Kael tightened his grip on the scanner, looked at the machine. Looked at the woman behind him, spoke one quiet word. Not today. The drone fired. The blast hit smoke, not the man. Kael had thrown a heavy emergency flare at the last second. Bright white light blinded the drone's sensor for 2 critical seconds. He swung the bone saw with all his strength. Metal cracked. Sparks flew. The drone crashed to the floor, twitching, then went still. He didn't celebrate, turned back. Vexara was watching him, breath shallow, eyes wide. She'd seen soldiers die for her. Armies break for her. But she'd never seen a human throw himself into fire with nothing but a medical tool. "We have to move," Kael said, voice tight. He grabbed her arm and pulled her toward a narrow service tunnel. The tunnel was dark, low, filled with broken pipes. Every step sent pain through her side, but she didn't complain. She matched his pace. The medicine was working. Her legs felt stronger. Her mind cleared. But the toxin was still there, waiting. They reached a small storage room and closed the heavy door. Kael set up a portable light. Checked her wound again. The patch held. Bleeding slowed. But her hands were shaking, not from fear, exhaustion. "You should sit. Your body needs rest to fight the poison." Vexara shook her head. "Rest is death. They'll find us. Running blind will kill us faster. Breathe. Focus. Let the medicine work." She stared at him. In her world, stopping meant weakness. Weakness meant shame. Shame meant exile or execution. Her people didn't pause. They pushed, fought, bled in silence. What kind of warrior admits they need to stop? "You don't understand," she said, voice rough. "My kind doesn't hide. We don't wait for help. We stand or we fall. If I show weakness, I'm finished." Kael knelt beside her. He didn't argue, didn't preach. Just wiped sweat from her forehead with a clean cloth. "In my world," he said quietly, "weakness isn't a crime. It's a sign someone needs help, and help isn't given to the strong. It's given to the ones still fighting to stay alive." Vexara went still. The words didn't make sense at first. They went against everything she knew. War was strength. Mercy was a trick. Compassion was a flaw. Yet here was a human, hands stained with her blood, risking everything for no reward, no glory, no rank. Just a promise he made to himself. "Why do you not leave me?" she asked again. Softer this time, not a challenge, a search for truth. "Because I'm a medic. Medics don't choose who lives. We just try to make sure everyone gets a chance." Outside, metal groaned. Heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor. More drones, maybe soldiers. The enemy wasn't guessing anymore. They were hunting. Kael checked his gear. 2 smoke packs left. 1 shock tool, a broken scanner. Not enough for a war. Enough for one more chance? Vexara watched him work. Saw the way his hands moved, fast, precise, calm under pressure. He wasn't a warrior, no armor. No combat training, but he didn't break, didn't run. Stood in the dark and kept trying. Something inside her shifted. Not just trust? Something deeper, respect. For the first time, she saw strength that didn't come from claws or blades. It came from standing when every instinct said to flee. "You are strange, human," she murmured. Kael gave a tired half-smile. "I get that a lot." The door shook. A loud crack split the air. The lock was breaking. Dust fell from the ceiling. The enemy was at the threshold. Vexara forced herself up. Legs trembling, but she locked her knees, reached down. Her fingers closed around a broken energy blade dropped by a drone. The handle cracked, power cell low, but it was sharp. She turned to Kael. Her eye was dark, focused, alive. She held out a second weapon, a small, damaged plasma pistol. "Take it." Kael hesitated. He was a healer, not a fighter. Vexara didn't wait. She stepped between him and the door. Her posture changed. The wounded patient was gone. The warrior returned, but this time she wasn't alone. "Stay behind me," she said. The door exploded inward. Smoke rushed in. Red eyes appeared in the dark. And for the first time in her life, the untouchable alien warrior fought to protect a human. 3 enemy soldiers stormed through, weapons raised, black armor. Silver sigil. Vexara's own people? She lunged forward, broken blade in hand. Plasma pistol sparking to life. Kael stayed low, scanning, throwing smoke, calling out positions. He wasn't a fighter, but he knew angles, cover, timing. He directed her movements like a guide. Left! She cut down the first soldier. "Duck!" Kael dropped as a plasma bolt scorched the air where his head had been. They moved like 2 broken pieces that finally fit together. Fast, brutal, efficient. Within minutes, the room was quiet. Only smoke and the smell of burnt metal. Vexara leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Her wound burned. The toxin was still there, but adrenaline kept it at bay. She stepped over the fallen soldiers, checked their gear. One carried a communication pack. She tapped the screen. A recorded message played, cold, clear, official, target, Vexara. Confirmed compromised. Eliminate with extreme prejudice. Command authorization, Omega-7. Her hand froze. Omega-7 wasn't an enemy code. It was High Command, her own generals. The ones who'd sent her to the front, praised her victories. They hadn't been trying to capture her. They'd been trying to erase her. Too powerful. Too independent. Too dangerous to control. A living legend was better as a dead martyr. She dropped the communicator. It clattered on the floor. Her face went pale, then hard. The pain in her side was nothing compared to the weight of the truth. She'd bled for them, followed orders, buried her friends for their cause. And they'd marked her for death like a broken tool. Kael approached slowly. He saw the change in her eyes. The fire was gone, replaced by something colder, empty. "They did it," she whispered. "My own commanders." Kael didn't offer empty comfort. He didn't say it would be okay. He simply stood beside her. "I'm sorry." She turned to him, voice flat. "Your people call you weak. You show mercy to enemies, heal without reward. Die for strangers. Tell me, human, if your leaders knew you were saving me, would they call you a traitor?" Kael met her gaze. "Some would. Maybe most. But a real medic doesn't ask if a life deserves saving. He just saves it." "Why?" she pressed. "What do you gain?" "Nothing." "That's the point." The words hung in the air, heavy, simple, true. In her world, loyalty was bought with power. Respect earned through fear. Mercy was a lie told by the weak. But this human stood in a ruined room, bleeding, exhausted, and asked for nothing. He'd shown her a different kind of strength. One that didn't break, one that didn't demand, one that simply gave. She looked at her hands, the hands that had taken so many lives. Now they held a human weapon. Now they rested beside a human who had chosen her. Slowly she straightened her spine. The emptiness in her eyes faded, replaced by focus, purpose, something she'd never felt before, not duty to an empire, not rage at an enemy, choice. "They want me dead," she said, voice steady. "Then I won't give them the satisfaction." She turned to Kael. "You said you fight for the wounded. Today I fight for you." Outside, more engines roared. The kill squad was regrouping, heavy armor, heavy weapons, the final wave. Kael checked his gear, 1 med patch. One injector, half a smoke pack. Vexara checked her blade. Low power. Enough for one last stand. She looked at the door, then at him. Stay close, medic. We end this together. The ground shook. Boots marched in perfect rhythm. The enemy was at the door. And for the first time in the war, the deadliest warrior in the galaxy wasn't fighting for glory. She was fighting for the man who taught her that healing was stronger than hate. The heavy door shattered completely. Dust and metal rained down. 4 elite soldiers stepped through, armor thick, weapons glowing red. The final cleanup crew. Sent to erase a legend. Leave no witnesses. Vexara moved first. Her body screamed in pain, but her mind was clear. She lunged forward, blade cutting air. The first soldier raised a shield. Sparks flew. She twisted, dodged a plasma bolt, struck at an armor joint. Metal cracked. The soldier fell, but the effort cost her. Her knees buckled. The toxin burned in her veins. She forced herself up. Kael didn't watch. He worked, threw his last smoke pack into the center of the room. Thick gray fog rolled out. He tapped his scanner, sending a false heat signature to the far wall. 2 soldiers fired at empty space. Kael moved low, grabbed a fallen power cable, pulled hard. It snapped loose, sparking against a metal beam. Loud pop. 1 soldier turned, distracted. Vexara struck, clean, fast, final, 2 left. They adjusted tactics, stopped firing blindly. Advanced in sync. Their leader stepped forward, helmet visor glowing blue, raised a heavy rifle. Target locked. Vexara tried to stand. Her legs failed. She fell to one knee. The leader aimed. Kael saw it. He didn't have a weapon. He had a medical pressure injector, loaded with a high-concentration stimulant not meant for combat. Emergencies only? He ran. Kael, no! Vexara shouted. He ignored her. Slid across the floor under the leader's line of fire. Slammed the injector into the soldier's armor seam. Chemical burst inside. The leader staggered, vision blurred, rifle fired wild. Vexara used the opening, drove her blade into the chest plate. The leader fell. 1 enemy remained. The soldier hesitated. Looked at the fallen squad, looked at the wounded alien. Looked at the human medic standing between them, breathing hard, hands empty, but stance unbroken. The soldier lowered his weapon, turned, ran. Silence returned to the room, heavy. Kael dropped to his knees, hands shaking, uniform torn. Breath coming in short gasps. He turned to Vexara. She was still on one knee. Blood soaked her side, armor cracked. But her eye met his, alive, clear. You stood, she said quietly. Again, medics don't walk away, Kael replied, voice rough but steady. She tried to rise, failed. He moved quickly, sliding his arms under her shoulders. She didn't resist, leaned into him. For the first time, the warrior who never needed help let someone hold her weight. Outside, distant engines approached, not enemy. Human rescue. Backup had finally returned. They would find the wreckage. The Badas, the 2 of them. Word would spread across human camps, alien fleets. The story would change with every telling, but the truth would remain. A human medic had touched the untouchable, and she had lived. The war didn't end that day. Battles would continue, borders would shift. But something small had broken, and something new had begun. Respect not born from fear. Not earned through conquest, given freely. By choice. Vexara closed her eyes, her breathing slowed. The poison was fading, the wound would scar, but she would survive. Because of him. Your people call themselves weak, she murmured, voice barely audible. They are wrong. Kael adjusted the blanket around her shoulders. We're just human, she almost smiled, almost. Then perhaps humanity is stronger than the galaxy believes. Sirens wailed in the distance. Boots approached. Voices called out. But in the quiet corner of the ruined ship, time seemed to pause. The warrior who had never been touched. The medic who refused to look away. 2 enemies, 1 moment. 1 choice.